On this broadcast last week, in an effort to honor and thank a veteran who protected me and so many others after a ground fire incident in the desert during the Iraq War invasion, I made a mistake in recalling the events of 12 years ago. It did not take long to hear from some brave men and women in the air crews who were also in that desert. I want to apologize. I said I was traveling in an aircraft that was hit by RPG fire. I was instead in a following aircraft. We all landed after the ground fire incident and spent 2 harrowing nights in a sandstorm in the Iraq desert. This was a bungled attempt by me to thank one special veteran.
Oh, that was cleverly and craftily done. But I'm afraid the euphemisms and the translations will not suffice. It was a lie. It was a lie. And by the way, the 12-year gap, this hiatus, well, we all forget. You were repeating this story over and over again for many years. So anyway, we'll get to that. Brian Williams. Look, he's in big trouble now. There is no doubt that he's a respected, gifted broadcaster, but lied about taking fire in a military helicopter. What else then has he been, well, liberal with over the years? Has he told the truth? Austin Petersen is the editor of the Libertarian Republic and chief executive of Stonegate. He joins us from Washington. It's a credibility issue, isn't it? At this point, we no longer know what we should and should not believe from this man.
That's true. You know, it sounds like he sort of took a page out of the Hillary Clinton playbook. You know, she was famous for saying that she took sniper fire in Iraq or in Bosnia as well. And I wonder if he wasn't just trying to embellish his credentials, which is strange. He's already the nightly Newsline anchor, seen by millions, beloved by millions, so there didn't need to be any sort of embellishment on his resume. But as reporters and journalists such as myself and yourself are doing more digging, we're finding there seems to be a series, a pattern of mistruths told by Mr. Williams, so it's no wonder that he stepped aside, hoping perhaps that some of this heat would subside. But now we're hearing more things about his past, perhaps a lie about being held up at gunpoint, and this anti-gun, ostensibly anti-gun liberal somehow knew the caliber of the gun that he was held up with when he was a child. And many people are denying these stories, and more is coming out every day about some of his reporting about Hurricane Katrina. So I'm hoping that perhaps Mr. Williams will be able to clarify this, and if not, I don't understand how he can hold that position much longer.
You know, the screenwriter, the wonderful screenwriter William Goldman, was once asked on a social occasion by someone who's a bit nervous when he met him, what's Robert Redford like? And Goldman said, imagine if you'd never heard the word no for 30 years. Now, I think that's pertinent to this because this man, whilst a fine communicator, for a long time now has been a major player. People say yes to him all the time. I think he just got carried away with his own artificial reputation.
Well, I'll tell you, Michael, I'm a veteran news broadcaster. I've been working for a long time behind the scenes, and the New Yorker this morning published a piece that I thought it described it perfectly. A lot of these stars, they develop sort of a God complex. I mean, think about this. When he was reporting over in Iraq, weren't there crew members, weren't there other fellow journalists who were there who could have denied his story? And yet for a decade, no one ever said anything. He went on David Letterman and was repeating this lie, and yet no one had the guts to call him out within his own news organization. Some of these people, I think, are just way full of themselves. They become too big to fail once they get inside the Beltway and once they wield a certain measure of power, Michael. You know, when you walk down the street and millions of people know who you are, it sort of places you a bit elevated over other people. I'm no egalitarian myself, but I do know that some of these people, I think that they think too greatly of themselves, and so they think that they can get away with lying to millions of people. So when the rug starts getting pulled out from underneath their feet, they act very surprised. You saw his sort of non-apology apology.
Well,
very strange and not very humble, was it?
Well, he's trying to dig himself out of a hole. Are you just going after him, though, because you think he's a liberal?
No, oh gosh, absolutely not. I care nothing for parties or ideology other than the ideology of freedom itself. I mean, I'm a libertarian, but that in itself, I care nothing about just attacking liberals. To me, both sides are two birds of the same bird of prey, you might say. I go after conservatives and liberals equally. But no, I think that liberals are hypocrites when it comes to a lot of these issues. They do protect their own, but so do conservatives, and I'll tell you a story. I'll go after conservatives for a moment. This is a slight anecdote that's related to this story, but I know several major conservative news broadcasters who are conservative, meaning that they say that they're conservative, but the only reason that they say that they're conservative is because in order for them to sell books, in order for them to be booked on television, they tell people the lies that they want to hear. You know, they say, they go out and they act like they're conservatives, but they really aren't. They only do it because they know that they're going to get booked on television. Liberals do the same thing. There are probably very many conservatives.
Give me a couple of names. Give me a couple of names of leading conservatives. I want them.
Absolutely. John Gibson. He's a pot-smoking hippie liberal, and he sells books talking about the war on Christmas. The man doesn't give a damn about the war on Christmas or culture wars or social conservatism. The man cares about selling books. Now, I'm picking on sort of a fading star right there,
yeah.
But there's a prime example. Yeah, there's a prime example. Liberals do it and conservatives do it. They only care about getting their face on television. And, you know, people might accuse me of the same thing, but hey, you know, right under the bottom of this screen here, the Libertarian Republic, I have no agenda other than the one that I plainly state before you, but not so many other news broadcasters do the same thing.
Do you have any sympathy for him, though? Because he's not a malicious or a pernicious man. He's made a mistake here. It's a bad one. I think it is a lie. But if it is just one, and we don't know about the other stuff, if it is one in an otherwise ostensibly glittering career, shouldn't we be more forgiving?
No, I don't have much sympathy for people who have the nerve to lie to people, to millions of people. And no, it doesn't seem to be just an isolated incident. It appears there is a pattern of deceit from Mr. Williams, and this is not just an ideological struggle for me. To me, I believe as a reporter that you have a dedication to the truth. You take an oath to tell the truth at many of these institutions, and I think it's important for people to be able to trust their news anchors. Now, I think a lot of this comes from the simple fact that a lot of these news broadcasters are having to compete with the internet, and so they feel they have to puff up their credentials because they're losing audiences, they're losing ratings. And because of the shifting news landscape, they feel incentivized to try and bolster their resumes by embellishing the truth in such a way. So it doesn't surprise me that people like Mr. Williams do it. I understand why they do it. They're perfectly incentivized to do it. But I think that dishonesty should disqualify one from being a professional journalist.
Okay. Like to spend more time with you, but my military helicopter is parked just outside the door, and I have to get home, and sometimes we come under heavy fire. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Michael. I'm going to go invade Normandy.